It's Saturday evening. It's time to talk about the very best comic books in the entire world this week, including one thing that's not going very well with a good friend, Drew. How you doing, Drew?
I'm doing fantastic, Wes. But yes, let's talk about this one thing that is not going well that we can agree with.
What should be the biggest Marvel event of this decade, One World Under Doom. Doom becoming the Sorcerer Supreme, taking over the world, should be an enormous event. We're at issue number 2, and I feel like it's dead. No one's really talking about it. I read the issue, and I bet 67% of it is just Doom orating about his plans and why he's doing things, mostly explaining it to Val, which makes sense to a certain degree, but certainly doesn't make for a wonderful reading experience when it comes to comic books. It's incredibly boring, and this shouldn't be the case.
I completely agree. And yeah, that was pretty much this whole, I would say about 60% of this issue was between Doom and Valeria, where Doom is just telling her his beliefs, his thoughts on the world, how it should be according to Doom. But another problem with that is that the Fantastic Four are pretty much written like idiots in this, and anytime the Fantastic Four go along with the plan that Ben Grimm agrees with, say like, yes, Ben Grimm is right, we should make him look like an idiot. I'm like, I don't know if that's a good idea, Reed. You're a smart guy, or at least you were until Ryan North started writing you. But that's another problem. Another problem is a lot of the dialogue in this from a lot of the civilians, how they're like, yeah, it's great killing Nazis. As soon as that line, I saw that by one of the people, I'm like, this doesn't feel right. This feels – I know this was all plotted out before Trump became president, but something tells me that when Trump did become president, they started changing up some of the dialogue from the people in this book, and it doesn't feel right. But the other big problem I have, biggest problem, is that this story has already been told. It's already been done. Warren Ellis wrote this back in the early 90s in his Doom 2099 run, where Doom took over the world. It is fan-flippin-tastic. I always tell everyone, if you think this is the bee's knees and the greatest thing since sliced bread, Ryan North is the greatest ever, you're wrong. You need to go read Warren Ellis' take on Doom 2099. That will blow your flippin' mind, how Doom would really take over the world.
You are right with the Fantastic Four. They are written like imbeciles. Normally, in the early stages of a big event like this, the villain, in this case Doom, would have to manipulate the situation and present it to the public as something completely different than what's actually happening to portray the good guys as the bad guys and turn public opinion on them. In this case, in this story, he doesn't have to do that. They're actually able to just show the viewing public exactly how the Fantastic Four are acting at the UN, and it turns the entire world against them. And it makes sense that they would turn against them because they come off as complete douchebags. And then he cures Ben Grimm, basically throwing in the face that Reed Richards, you've been trying to do this for decades and you couldn't do it. And now he's cured and he's a human. And now it's the Fantastic Three, I guess.
Reed and the others, they've done this who knows how many times to Ben. How many times has Ben become human again? How many times has he lost that shell? So many times at this point, I can't count. The big one that came to mind when Jonathan Hickman did it, which wasn't all too long ago. But yeah, a lot of this is just, it's very familiar stuff. None of it is new or groundbreaking. And the laugh out loud moment of this is the very last page, the reveal of the quote unquote Masters of Evil. As soon as I saw that lineup, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. I'm like, these are your guys. These are going to be the ones to quote unquote save the world, and to help take down.
Well, somebody's going to have to do that because the Avengers aren't doing anything. They're just having meetings.
They're just having meetings. Fantastic Four are just, or like I said, acting like idiots. Valeria is off doing her own thing. I guess it's going to have to be Arcade and Dr. Octopus to take down
MODOK.
Doom. MODOK. Yeah, let's bold strategy, Cotton. See how that works.
Needless to say, One World Under Doom is not going well, and unfortunately, we have 7 more months of this.
Yeah, like Thanksgiving, Christmas. By the time this is over, I'm like, this could have been done in a month.
Yeah, not going very well, but thankfully there are some awesome comic books. And this week we're going to start out with indie books. My number one pick, my pick of the week, Bug Wars #2, Jason Aaron writing, Mahmoud Asrar on art. And I am really buying into this concept. I think the second issue is better than the first issue. And we're seeing the different quarters of the backyard that make up these different bug civilizations that somehow have evolved over like a 20-year period, where you have like Spartans and barbarians, and you have like old Roman cultures and stuff like that, all coming down to this big truce that they're signing. I thought the reveal of why they were signing the truce was actually pretty darn funny. It's hard-hitting, it's disgusting, it's edgy, and this is why Jason Aaron originally made a name for himself on the indie scene, because he actually can write interesting stuff.
Yeah, he absolutely can when he tries, and clearly here, as well as with his current issues of TMNT, he is doing that. And yeah, I enjoyed this issue much more than the first one. And like you said, I enjoyed this world he's developing now, like all these different bug sectors, and you have the main character here, Slade, who pretty much is our John Carter of Mars stand-in, where he's got this amulet that's pretty much given him like super strength, but somehow it's broken. The piece is broken off. He's got to find that other one to get his strength back. But yeah, I like you, Wes. I got a kick out of it. The big reveal, why they're doing this, that last page, I laughed out loud. I'm like, that is fantastic. Kudos to you, Jason. You got me there. Yeah, I can't wait for issue 3. This is a very, very fun, creative, nasty bug comic book series. I love it. Check this out.
Absolutely. And Doc and I have a full review coming up, I believe, on Monday. And Doc does not agree with this. He's completely against this book, but we have a really good time discussing it. I'm all in on Bug Wars. I think this is the best new series of 2025 thus far. Also going to recommend G.I. Joe number 5, Josh Williamson writing, Tom Riley on art. I thought the Joes were once again going to lose, but that's not the case here, because finally Clutch, who's been infiltrating the Cobras, gets the drop on him, actually ends up saving Duke and the rest of the team, as Destro is kind of basically trying to torture him out. It looks like Destro and Baroness might not end up being too close together by the end of this, because he treats her very, very poorly on this one. This is a action-packed, really fun comic book, and I'm just absolutely loving it. I cannot believe that Sus Gabe is still trying to claim that G.I. Joe is not good. He is insane.
Yes, I got to disagree with Gabe on that take. And honestly, I'm going to say at this point right now, with issue 5 of G.I. Joe, I think it's past a real American hero right now. Both are really damn good, but I'm right now, G.I. Joe number 5, I'm all in on this. I'm digging it. I love how the characters are written. Destro, I don't think Destro has ever been written. I don't think it's been written this well in decades, and I am digging it. It's fantastic. And Cobra Commander, yeah, he's written like the menacing badass that he is, the great leader he is, or quote unquote great. But yeah, I love how everyone has their own unique voices. It's fun, it's engaging, it's so beautifully illustrated. Tom Riley is just the right guy for this. It's got a great cartoony vibe to it, and I enjoy it for that. And yeah, if you're not reading G.I. Joe, guys, jump in on this. We're only 5 issues in. You can get these books anywhere. You're missing out. This is a lot of fun.
Do not listen to Sus Gabe. He's completely wrong on this one. Tom Riley's art is very, very cool. I even like the colorings that they're doing there. It's got a nostalgic feel to it, and I'm definitely loving that one. We're also going to recommend The Sacrificers 15, Rick Remender writing, Max Famara on art. This is a very unique issue of The Sacrificers, where we have Rokul, or whatever his name is, the sun god, decides, because he believes that the world of man has destroyed his daughter, that he's going to get his righteous vengeance and basically destroy the entire world in a sea of fire. And it's written almost like an epic poem, very, very different from all the other issues of The Sacrificers. By the end, we do have some very odd happenings where you have these beings coming out from like the center of the earth to try and quench the fire that's basically overtaking the entire planet. And finally, Pigeon comes face to face with the sun god on the very last page. I thought it was really well done. Not exactly my favorite way to tell a comic book story, but I think it's really effective in this case.
Yeah, it's a very effective story. I will say, I think one of the things hurting the series, or has hurt it, is that it hasn't really been coming out on a consistent basis. I mean, for a while I thought it was coming out monthly, but I don't think it has been coming out monthly. And when we're reading so much, Wes, I have to go back and read prior issues to figure out where we last left off. And because I think I'd forgotten where we last left off in the previous issue. But yeah, this issue is fantastic. And you said the cliffhanger of this, I can't wait. The next issue, I cannot wait for the next issue. It's going to be fantastic. It should be action-packed. Should be. But yeah, this is a beautifully, beautifully illustrated series. Arguably, I mean, Rick Remender works with a lot of great artists, but I think the guy working on this, Max Fierma, fantastic artist. He was born to do this. And this is one of the highlights of Rick's career, this series. And we must resist hopelessness. I love that quote in this. It's fantastic. Do check out The Sacrificers, guys. This is a fantastic, fantastic, deep series.
Definitely been a very wild ride. You really can't even anticipate what's going to be happening next from one issue to another. So it's been a lot of fun. Final indie comic book recommendation, Conan the Barbarian, number 19, Jim Zub writing, Doug Braithwaite on art. Very, very happy to see Doug return to the series. I was not a very big fan of the previous artist. A very intense, very physical issue of a comic book. We see Conan kind of sitting outside of the ship where Belit has died and the crew has died, all alone, beat to hell, doesn't know where he is, having to track himself through the jungle, ends up fighting hand-to-hand combat with a crocodile, comes into contact with some indigenous people. They don't want to help him out. Finally ends up having to fight essentially a panther with his bare hands. And there's a really big, enormous reveal at the end of that one. And it's just a piece of testosterone-fueled, toxic masculine-fueled comic book. I thought this was very, very exhilarating.
It was, and I think this is the shot in the arm Conan the Barbarian needed, because the last two issues, we can agree, Wes, they weren't the best. And art-wise,
the two worst of the series so far.
I agree, and the art wasn't the best either. But thankfully, this is a step back in the right direction. This is this is the pure testosterone that we love from our Conan and Jim Zub. And Doug Braithwaite was the right guy to do the art in this book. And I love where it ends. It's a great. Oh yes, I loved it. And the fight with the panther, I absolutely dug it. And this is a fantastic. I mean, if you guys aren't reading Conan, shame on you. This has been one of the best series the last 2 years now, and if you're not reading this, I don't know what to do. I don't know what we got to do to sell this. Conan's one of the best.
Absolutely. If you're not reading Conan, you are doing comic books wrong, and be on the lookout for Solomon Kane. I think it comes out next week. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Now let's move over to the big two, because we do have some Marvel and DC books to recommend. First up from Marvel, Cable Love and Chrome number 3, David Pepos writing, Mike Henderson on art. This is pretty interesting. We have Cable being overtaken by the techno-organic virus. Because he's connected with Ryder, he's seeing her dead sister in his dreams and talking about what she means to him and he means to her, that he's got to fight this off and come back to life to be able to support her. Now, there are a few too many prose expressing undying love and devotion to Ryder for my taste. I don't think that Cable would just fall this hard in love after he's traveled all over the time and world and all that type of stuff. But it is effective. He is able to recover himself and finally back her up as she's trying to take down this evil corporation that's got all these people underneath their thumb. And we finally see the return of Cicada getting physical with Cable. And I thought it was, by the end, a very good issue. The first half of it did drag a bit, but I think it's a winner in the end.
It felt like reading a prose romance novel at one point in this. I'm like, God, I don't. let's move on from this, please. But yeah, it was great seeing Cable being overtaken by the techno-organic virus, and I think this is where I haven't been the biggest fan of Mike Henderson, but I really think this is one of the stronger issues, probably the strongest issue of showcasing his art, and I really dug it here what he did with the techno-organic virus, and I really dig the ending of this because I don't think we've seen Cable. I mean, do this for someone else, maybe I could be wrong. I haven't read every Cable comic. Maybe he has in the past, but it's like, oh, Cable's actually going to be doing this. Okay, let's see if it works. But yeah, I'm all in on it. David Pepos he is a very good writer. I mean, this is not his best series. Space Ghost is clearly the best, but this is still a solid, damn good read for Cable. And it's been a long time since we've had a good Cable series. Do give Cable a shot, guys.
It's definitely the best X-Men from the Ashes book.
Yes, absolutely.
Without a doubt. Not even close. Moving over to DC, because we got a couple of Absolute books to talk about. Absolute Batman number 6, Scott Snyder writing, Nick Dragotta on art. This is probably the best issue of any Absolute Universe comic book thus far. Now, it's not really Batman, because Batman literally picks up an 8-year-old and punts him into the water in this issue. Very un-Batman, whether he was Absolute or not. But it was pretty freaking hilarious. And to see him pick up a bowling ball and try and smash a man's face in was pretty crazy. And then the horns on his cowl moving forward so he could stab somebody's eyeballs out. None of it really feels like Batman, but it's so far over the top and so extreme. And the art is so good that I just kind of like it. As a means of entertainment, I think it works. And it was fun.
I completely agree. You cannot take this seriously. If you're taking this seriously, you're reading it incorrectly. And my best comparison to this is like watching a good, bad 80s action movie like Cobra or Tango and Cash. This is on that level of that. You know, it's not high art, but you're gonna be enjoying the hell out of it. And yeah, this is it. It is absolutely insane. Like you said, when he punts that 8-year-old kid, I laughed out loud. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And this is not Batman, but I'm having a blast reading this. And yeah, what he does with his the horns, like I completely dug it. The stuff with the Killer Croc, that was my one cringe moment. I'm like, God, just stop this crap with that callback. And I'm Waylon Croc Jones, and blah, 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 blah. No, stop. But other than that, yeah, it's an absolute hilarious, fun action romp. And this is, I'm going to say, this is probably Nick Dragotta's best issue he's illustrated so far of Absolute Batman. And it looks, every page is spectacular in this book.
Absolutely. Enjoy that one because it was a whole lot of fun. And I'll say this, of all the Absolute Universe books, I think Absolute Flash, #1 this week, Jeff Lemire writing, Nick Robles on art, I think it's probably the second best book already. I think there's a really strong starting point on this one. I think the Nick Robles art really was impactful and very good. It's the second best illustrated book behind Absolute Batman. I think it even eclipses Absolute Superman, which has great art, but not a great story. It's kind of weird that Wally West's dad ends up being Thunderbolt Ross, but I'll go with it. And we see what happens to be the ultimate fate of the Absolute Barry Out and all that kind of stuff. The problem with the book isn't the story or the Wally West that's being displayed. I think all that stuff really works. It's the time jumping. Makes it a little bit discombobulated, especially when they jumped in the future for a year. It was completely unnecessary. And I think without that, it would have been a better comic book overall. But Absolute Flash #1 shows a lot of promise that I don't think Wonder Woman or Superman have.
I can agree and disagree with that. And yes, it can be a problem. It absolutely can. But for right now, I don't have a problem with that. And we both know, I mean, and the viewers know, time travel is incorporated with the Flash character itself. And I trust Jeff Lemire. Jeff Lemire is a fantastic writer, fantastic storyteller. And I completely trust him at this point with what he's doing with the time travel elements until I'm proven wrong. But yeah, this was the first series that really gave me what I wanted in the first issue of our DC characters in the Absolute Universe. We got our new Wally, got Barry, and we got the Rogues in this. I loved how the Rogues looked in this. I'm like, yes, and the elements that they're using to hunt down Flash and Wally, and I completely dug it. I was all in on this. I'm turning the pages. I'm like, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? And it's got me wanting to come back for the second issue. Yeah, Nick Robles, fantastic artist. Jeff Lemire, fantastic writer. This is a terrific first issue. If you haven't read Flash #1, guys, Absolute Flash #1, you're missing out. And apparently, sales-wise, this is doing very well compared to all previous Flash runs, going as far back as the Mike Baron run in the 80s. So yeah, if you haven't picked this up, guys, do check this out. It is a lot of fun.
Absolutely. So we have the Absolute Universe owning DC Comics this week, but just a fantastic week all around. But certainly Indies led the way, but they're almost doing that every single week that we have a great week out there. There is a book out called Aftermath from Blame Canada Press. A lot of people don't know this, but it's actually written by you, Drew.
That's correct. It is written by me, edited by the great Aaron Sparrow, penciled by Andre Lunatic, inked by the legendary Shelby Robertson, and colored by the legendary Dan Kemp. It is arguably the most beautiful book that Aaron and I have ever been a part of. As of right now, the book is finished. It is out to buy right now. And right now, today, you can pre-order the C2E2 special edition cover by J.C. Grande, homaging Marvel Comics Presents the Weapon X premiere by Barry Windsor Smith. It is a beautiful cover. You do not want to miss out on this, guys. Go to blamecanadapublishing.com or comickingdomcreative.com. You'll agree with me when we say this is one of the most beautiful books all year that you will ever read.
And if you need a little bit more help, there is a link in the video description if you want to check that out. Also, if you want to see more Thinking Critical, but in a bigger form, the best place to be is Thinking Critical Patreon. You support the channel, become a part of the family. You get awesome podcasts in return, like the Hot or Not podcast with our good friend Jim, where we cover all the comic books every single week, whether they're good, bad, or in between. We cover it all. If you haven't checked that out, there's a link in the video description to that as well. Hope to see you there very, very soon.